walk up to them.
Some of the complaints were, from what I heard, some of the complaints were that, oh, I saw a group of guys there, and it's just, that I didn't want to approach them. Yeah, that's good. You shouldn't have, like I
Yeah.
wouldn't, like that's
In
okay.
real
You
life,
shouldn't
that's not
have
what you
I walk
do.
that.
up on groups of guys all the time,
Yeah, right.
but I'm
Like you
armed to the
shouldn't
teeth, and I
have.
look like I'm gonna fuck everybody's shit up.
And also expect them to be curious, like all my guys are young and they see you coming up and we're all together, all testosterone up having fun, and then you pull up, we want to ask questions, we might surround you a bit because so many of us, we're not gonna all stand in the line behind each other, so it's just that sort of thing may
Since we're
happen,
on this,
and I shouldn't.
subject,
Go ahead.
let's talk about the 15-second rule. Like some of us are, doing their shit, podcasting and listening to music or whatever. It takes us a minute to get off music, get on the chat, say, hey, what's up? What are you guys doing? We're getting shook up. What do you think? 15, 20, 25, 30?
That
You,
the
At
timing
that
is
point-
okay for me. The timing is okay for me because my interactions last a lot longer. I got my
Yeah, but
car
you
stolen.
got like this. You got this preconceived notion. You're rolling. Somebody's over here, hitting a lockbox, and all of a sudden you're rolling in with a because your 15 seconds is loaded. They're surprised. Like you got the advantage. You got the man up. You and your homies got the man up.
And you should.
My opinion on this though is that if you are existing, the RP is done. Or you are not supposed to be safe here. So if you are going to do that stuff, you should be interacting how you should be interacting. You should be playing your character, not be doing things out of game.
Out of game.
That's
exactly.
just my opinion on that.
A lot of a few times.
There's
it was good
there's a lot of
opportunities.
parents that play this too and have to step away real quick to deal with the kids or get dinner started or whatever. And
I get that.
But at that point, you can go to the main menu. It takes 2 seconds, really.
Yeah.
And I know logging in takes a little bit longer. Just, like the process of how quickly you can be out of the game is 2 seconds. Not saying to battle log or anything, but like,
I mean,
if
if someone is
safe area and you want to go AFK for a few minutes to take a shit and feed the dogs, you should probably go to the main menu. Or if you're not in the safest of areas, you should probably go to the main menu.
If someone's like crashed down in a corner looking at the wall, you kind of know they're AFK at the same time.
There's a level of common sense and respect to the RP world. I've never played RP in my life. This is my first time really involved in it, and the more and more I play, the more you learn to kind of respect it. It's like acting. I shoot videos and things like that, and when you go out with other actors, they don't treat it as a joke. They believe they are this person. They they play this role and they do it. So it's like you have to kind of step back and maybe not. It might look funny to you because you're not an actor, but hey, that's his world and that's believable to him. So when I say that, it's the more I play here, the more I understand and respect that experience for others as well. So obviously, I'm not gonna just go around willy-nilly killing people. You have 15 seconds, yeah, but realistically, 15 seconds for me to just go kill you, like I feel like I'm bored as shit. Like
I have,
I wouldn't want to do it like that. I'd rather go it 100 different ways than I go and directly to kill you. But again, it's just my opinion. I don't see much killing also on the RP where people are just dying everywhere, or maybe I'm just not reading it.
Is Ember here?
I thought she was.
She's listening.
Okay. Well, Ember had a perfect interaction with the Croc before. Ember was AFK, and then Croc comes up and tries to rob her. I forgot who was with him, or with Croc, but whoever was with Croc, they started, since Ember was AFK, they were trying to rob Ember. So instead, they didn't get an interaction. So they started beating on her with fists.
Oh,
kind of thing. Extending the interaction. You know what I mean? They're not going to go out and kill her, but they started beating on her.
Yeah.
Like trying to get her to react.
And that's something too. Like, people
extend the time?
If they're AFK, you can't just fucking wail on them.
Yeah.
Do we want to just implement that? That could be a thing.
And since I got
regard for life, a zombie wailing you, that kind of thing too.
But I mean, if you go AFK and something happens while you were AFK at a game, that you know where you're at.
Yeah.
All right. Let's list new people up on the stage.
There needs to be interaction, right? Interaction.
one more thing, and since I have
Agreed.
regard for life, like everybody else should here, when you run into somebody, damn, hold on, don't tell me I forgot the point I was getting. It was so good, but the last thing you said, whoever said it, was distracting me. But I'll probably have to get back on that. Sorry, guys, I just smoked the blunt.
What you
I
were
have
saying
a-
about that. Oh, go ahead. You first,
Huh?
Aura.
With the whole 15 seconds thing, I think the 15 seconds timer should start once both parties acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's how it
Not
used to
just-
be,
Not
but a
just
lot of
one
people were
person rolls
complaining.
up and says something and then the 15-second timer starts. I think both players within the interaction or both groups, someone needs to at least acknowledge on both sides. And then the timer starts, type thing, you know?
I always thought it was like 15 seconds after you get a response.
That's
Well,
That
we can play it 15 seconds
Nah.
after it starts because, like, as a general rule of thumb for myself at least, if somebody doesn't answer within like 15 to 30 seconds, I'll just wander off. I'll be like, oh, this person's got their head in their pants or whatever. I'll like mumble to myself as I'm walking away or something like that, you know, or like leave some random useless item down on the ground in front of them just to like get some enjoyment out of it myself. Like I'll drop an empty can or something.
I
Like,
remember what I was gonna say, and since you have regard to life, right? I've met people where I've tried to probably pressure them a little bit, and they were strong enough to kind of like stand up against me, like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do this and this and that." And you're like, you know what? Maybe this guy's not the guy to fuck with. I kind of step back and this, and maybe we'll have conversation. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Sometimes you
Yeah.
got to be a
Like, oh,
dog
this
is
guy
a
might
dog
have something
too.
nasty in his
Yeah,
pocket
he
for
might
me.
have some too. So in my sense, I'm like, okay, maybe he's not somebody to fuck with, right? Because I'm in this role, I'm believing it. I also don't wanna die or make a wrong move because this guy might be affiliated with somebody else that can
He
come
might
over
pull
here
out a
and
hand
mess
grenade
me
and
up
cook it in his hand
and
until
cook
you
it
both
right
go.
there, right? Exactly. So I feel
So-
like we should all keep always that in mind and
Yeah.
have that respect
if
for this.
anything,
for
too,
this.
like we may, make a sector or two a test trial for that, good, bad, and civilian thing, and do a test with that.
should-
And honestly, if that goes well, like I'm willing to put it to a vote if you want the entire RP zone.
I
Mhm.
think we should also
Well, like-
implement more of that. But go ahead. What you were gonna say?
Yeah, with like what Bernd was talking about earlier with the interaction between, I think it was Croc, Vasco, and Embers, where they were trying to rob Embers because she was like out in the open, just laying flat on a car, if I remember correctly, that day, and she was AFK because she had to deal with her kids. And what happened on their end, because I did actually talk to them a bit about it before,
wasn't basket.
because it was story time. Yeah, was it? Yeah,
No,
it was.
sorry.
It wasn't okay.
Emma
It was
just
like
said, yeah, it
2
wasn't
people
basket.
from the group.
Yeah,
Maybe
doesn't
Star, but anyway, like they did start beating on her, but when she didn't answer even then, like the whole time that they were like punching her for her attention, like they were checking her health and like the state of her gear and stuff like that, because you can hold F and do treat patient and you can keep track of that as you're doing something like that, right? Where it's just you're taking little chunks off of their health or something like that in the interaction. And if you notice they're not responding and they're getting a little bit low, you can just back off and be like, oh, well, she's knocked out, I guess. Time to go. And they just moved on from there. And like they stopped when they noticed that she was not responding at all, you know. Which I think Embers. Oh yeah, they even offered to heal her when she got back. Embers mentioned that she's in chat right now. Yeah, like they were pretty good about it when that whole thing went down.
I also see, like don't be a dick, don't always, be good to people, this and that. You should also put in there that if you see tyranny, if you see bad, you should stand up against your oppressors and band together and do stuff like that to kind of encourage the good guys to kind of stand up for themselves rather than to just always be nice guys and try to avoid conflict because there's
Yeah.
there's consequences,
I've admined and DM'd on other RP servers, not even
Roll up on somebody
necessarily on
getting
Scum, right?
yeah,
Like,
roll up on somebody getting robbed at a drop and
oh yeah, you can definitely
fend off the
decide whether you
robbers.
want to be.
Oh
Would your
yeah, that'll be
character be the
great.
hero, right? Like, would
That'll
they
be
try to
great.
be the hero? Like that is also a very interesting RP interaction. Like, just sneak up behind them and like point your gun and just be like, hands up, drop your weapons, leave this person alone, you know, sort of deal.
What if I can come up with some kind of faction reputation system?
That would be fun. That would be fun.
When, let's say, you kill somebody, like, automatically the bot, like, deducts some... Like, it would be your rep with that faction, right? So let's say you start with 0 and then you go and kill somebody in somebody else's faction. Now you've got a -50 rep with them, which automatically shows that you're enemies. Or maybe you'd have to cross a threshold first, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And then other actions, the leaders of the factions could run a command like !rep -500 and then the name of the...
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'll
Like,
be
It could be good, but that could
When-
also get abused in a way. So we'd have to find.
Well, if you're going to be the leader of a
Having a-
faction, then you got to be upheld to be trusted to use that command. And if not, then your faction just gets shut the fuck down and you're all civilians again.
yeah.
I was
one of
also
the things.
thinking that if we don't do these faction things in place, or if we just have the nighttime robbers and things like that, that the more you do stuff, the more your name gets thrown out there. And we can have a system in place so that eventually, if someone is fucking around way too much, they get put on a more active list. So they would have to start wearing identifying markers for themselves, because everyone tends to wear
We
a
have a wanted
specific.
list.
Outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, have a wanted list, an actual wanted list that people can actually start going after and doing.
Yeah. And like you can grab screenshots of the person, kind of like, you know, CCTV type screenshots where it's like you take a picture as somebody who was attacked. Like if you can catch one, even if it's like a shitty picture or blurry picture, kind of like start,
Bigfoot.
you know, yeah, kind of like Bigfoot, where you kind of have like, you know, those vague pictures at first until someone finally manages to get a really good shot, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, like if you manage to get those pictures, you can put it up there on that wanted list, right? And stuff like that. And do it as like bad guy Joe sighting at this location, you know, with the picture underneath and stuff like that. One of the things, going back to the AFK issue, right? One of the things I used to do on a server where AFKs were like rampant and we didn't have any tools for that particular game to kick people when they're AFK for like X amount of time. Admins on that server used to go through and do like ninja watching, like just invisible, go check if you're interacting or moving around or doing something on the server, we'd move on, right? We'd count you as like actually doing stuff. If you're just standing there, dead, alone, not doing anything, we'd kick you. And to kind of like incentivize people not to just loiter AFK, and I don't think it's a thing that could work here, but like we'd give like a little tiny reward. We'd like pull a lever in the admin room, and everybody would get like a token that they could use to redeem something later on once they got enough tokens and stuff like that. Because like we counted that RP as like increasing your experience, and so those tokens were used for like, you know, if you get enough tokens, you could create a new skill for your character or something like that on that server.
This is the person who helped me at the tomb, my lord.
Yeah, we didn't even do it frequently. It was like
we don't need the help of this
random
outlander.
drug tests.
Oh, hush,
That's how we ran
Archcanon
it,
Thomas.
honestly.
Outlanders have their usefulness, and this one intrigues
And then
me.
we just keep a log of when each admin
As you
has done it,
say.
so we didn't do it too
I'll be in
frequently.
my office
you
if
know.
you need me.
I think
It's
it's
like-
a lot. I think it's a lot
Step
of
forward,
opportunity, and
friend of the
also
bull,
for a lot of
and let us
people who have
speak.
influence on here, who are also veteran players, who
Canon
maybe want
Level
to just
says you helped
get the
him in
fire
his
range
mission.
ready and just recruit
As
people,
I have
and
written,
let them,
the one
you
who
know,
helps
learn
my
to
ally
shoot and defend
becomes my
themselves,
friend.
stand up for themselves.
This
There's so
might be
much
Oh, yeah,
that
Archcanon's
can be built
concerns.
around just
I greet you
having
with sincerity
that,
and
you know what I'm
pose a
saying,
simple question.
antagonists around them.
Will
It's
you
like
assist
one
us
of the
further,
things I'm
Outlander?
working on with my squad as far as like getting it started up, as well as some of the bigger plans I have in the future, is I'm gonna start taking them to do like training sessions where basically we do teamwork training
Canon
where it's like
Level,
we go
I have
and we
alternators
sweep a
and
house,
armigers at my
like
disposal.
just a random
Vast
POI
armies of
or something like
followers and
that, and we
dedicated
do it in
priests.
formation
What
sort
I
of
don't
deal
have, however,
where we
is a
have like
fresh
specific
perspective.
hand signals,
Will you
specific
set aside your
movements that we
personal
do
goals for a
just
time
so that
and become
nobody's
the
in
eyes and
crossfire, there's no
ears of a
friendly
god?
fire and things like that. And that's also another good thing to do in RP, and you can make it
Good.
fun.
I need assistance to investigate a strange phenomenon that the
about
ancestors
creating
Alright.
confirmed may
businesses.
indeed be a the Daedric Prince.
We do need to
I
get,
suppose
you
the
know,
same events that
other
concern
people
me
up here,
Go
so
ahead,
that
go
way we're
ahead.
not
All right.
spending half
Yeah,
hour
yeah,
on
yeah.
She could
one
just
Go
thing.
as
ahead,
easily
Sorry,
be
sorry.
I got a lot of
source-based
ideas.
Yeah,
Nah,
I'm good.
thank you.
Red Mountain,
Wait.
strange Daedra.
Oops.
And then there's, well, we'll talk more about that when you return.
Alright, so who else had their hand up?
Assured me that a source of power
Bubba,
remains
you had a
safe.
bunch of
As for the rest,
good ideas. Croc, alright. What up, man? If you're talking, I cannot hear you.
Oh fuck! Hey, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
God damn, that was loud.
I still think
Sorry.
we should consider increasing the you know, interaction time, the little timer. I think that it's too easy for people to just steamroll, you know, an entire area. Give people
Okay.
a little bit of a head start.
I think
All right.
Get
touching
'em.
on that as well, though, with the
That could
whole
work too.
timer situation, each interaction is going to be a bit different, you know? Well, you'd hope. Every interaction is going to be a bit different. So, like, there's going to be different levels of, like, hostility interactions and things like that you're going to have. I think Mischief, he mentioned it to me the other day, type thing. And he made really good points. Say someone's approaching you with all their weapons holstered. That's like a white. Someone's approaching you with their weapon in their hand. That moves to like an orange. If someone approaches you with their weapon drawn and aiming, that's a red. So I think like going on those, it should be
have like a interaction timer, but tiered.
yeah, as to the level. If that makes sense.
If Aura is approaching me, can that be a red automatically?
That's a black.
Only if it's the same way.
I often
Vice
get
versa.
hits out of nowhere.
I mean, if I've got my
spread to other
fists
people
raised
too.
and aim at you, yeah, that's a red.
I mean,
You know?
Aura's fist being raised and aimed at you is definitely a thing too. So
There's a few people I can lump in that category now. Ember.
Yeah, I mean.
So, I mean, would you want to go off of that idea, Croc?
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a very interesting idea. I assume the top tier would be black, which is they're actively shooting at you.
You know, like it's
Yeah, that's a very interesting triage of roleplay. I think there's something there.
All right.
So we'll distinguish courses of action to take at corresponding colors, correct?
type thing, yeah.
Okay.
So, going off of that idea, what would you suggest for times, Croc?
I don't know. Well, right now we have 15 seconds. Is that right?
Yeah. Right now it's 15 seconds for everything.
I mean, as the lethality increases, perhaps we tack on an extra 10 seconds.
Okay. So we were to go like to a blue neutral straight, do like 45, a red be 30 and black be 15.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
So how is it going to operate when? So you're going to allow people to just start shooting at other people with a black weapon? How does that kind of work?
No, there still has to be some interaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Like,
would
you
suggest
still gotta
weapon raised and aimed at someone is the highest interaction, which would be a black flag or
for sure.
kind of thing. And that
Why
should
if
that we can keep that at 15 seconds, right? And then it's scale up from there. So 15, 30, 45, 60.
This is getting
I would
super
say.
complicated.
It is.
Right
No,
out.
it's too, no, don't write it out. This is too much. Like, how you the enforcement behind that and this is insane. This is insane.
Well, what
you
if we
guys are
just
talking.
changed it from 15 seconds to 30 seconds?
Just total? Yeah.
Crime.
What if people just actually RP'd and if somebody's just fucking standing there and then you just move on?
Like
I don't know.
it's
Oh yeah, of
the
course.
the whole time limit thing. Like I was saying before, every interaction's different. So sometimes the whole time limit thing it's not going to work.
I can tell you when I'm RPing, I'm
be
not counting to 15.
Exactly.
I'm RPing and I'm in the moment and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I value my life. I value the life of others. And if it escalates
This
quicker
was
than
put
15 seconds, then it
place.
escalated in quicker than 15 seconds.
This rule was put into place for people that would just come into the RP zone, do their thing. When someone tried to come to interact with them or do anything with them, they would just ignore them and then walk away. So if you try to hot fire them or do something, they would just ignore you and walk away. That 15-second rule was put in place for that.
Yeah. But I think if instead of doing the 15 seconds, maybe if people are aware of like the threat levels, gun holstered, white, gun drawn, medium, gun aimed, that's, I think if we put that in instead of the time limit, that could be.
It's just like a Q&A and FAQ, just putting in stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
just
it needs
things
to be
like
a
that.
rule. Like the more rules we add, the more complicated it gets.
Exactly. So I think if it's just like,
You want to put in
just a
some
little
stuff to
FAQ.
teach people how to just RP, then fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and that's the big thing too. Is people knowing how to RP. But I feel like that was more of like a guideline to help them, provide good RP back.
I think like writing up, like Emily brought this up earlier, writing up like a FAQ sheet with like a Word doc or something like that players can go to, and it'll have like a brief description of, how to RP type thing, and then, frequently asked questions, like threat level assessment and all that sort of stuff. I think that needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the point of the Word doc.
I think that's one of the most important things that we need to take away from today. Because I think having that, it's going to eliminate a lot of the what ifs and people trying to, find loopholes within the rules that we have placed and things like that. It'll help players to understand the rules that we have put in place better as well.
Croc, was there anything else?
Nope.
Alright. I did jot down your ideas.
Thank you.
Alright.
Grim, come on up.
Alright.
There
I
he is.
missed the last half an hour I was eating, but the last thing I
Was
heard
it good?
About
What'd you have?
Well, okay,
Yeah, you
here's what I
gotta tell us
got.
about your food first.
Well, yeah, no, we're not gonna talk about that.
Why?
The 15-second rule, I'm just going to touch on that. The 15-second rule is to account for people that don't have microphones that can't respond immediately, right? So, like, that's really the only 15 seconds is for. And if 15 seconds passes and you haven't responded, then, and it's clearly stated in our rules, if you're ignoring me, I can get more hostile, and it's in your best interest to respond to the interaction, right? So, I just want to clarify what my understanding about that was. Now, the second thing about this allowing squads to go rampant and just their sole focus is to rob and cause grief, right? There, I said it in the text thing. I'll say it here again. There's only one squad that has got 18 people on this island, and no other squad on this island can compete with them. And we've got 30 people. We got 25 people in here right now. So I assume we at least have 25 role players that role play on this server, and not one of us has a squad that could back us up and compete with this new murder squad, right? So,
yeah, but that's what you missed in the last half hour.
Well, so yeah, how would you like? How would we negate like? There's got to be like a level playing field to me. Like it's got to make it. You got to kind of like. I don't know. Like these people want to play around just robbing and whatever. Well, that's
We're gonna
fine.
have
We'll
some
do it.
base factions first of all that their job is to protect everybody and will be their own force to be reckoned with.
Well, that was what we, as the neighborhood watch, the core like people of the roleplay island, kind of came together to try to do. But even then, we realized we couldn't even.
We're gonna
like
we're gonna kind of redo the faction system. Everyone's gonna start out with as a civ, and there's gonna be a couple factions already ready in place, created by us, thought up by us. And then from there, people can apply to be with factions, but it's going to be a little more detailed how you have to put out how you're going to interact with each individual faction that already exists. And yeah, so mainly though, we're going to have civs, this like, it's the word I'm looking for. I don't know, a military force. The word I'm looking for is gone, but.
Like an oppressive military force.
Yeah, oppressive, but I was thinking
then the rebellion bandits. And
yeah,
rebels.
like rebels. Yeah.
Who are these people going to be? Like, really? Even if we have this faction, like, they're, in my eyes, even if like the half of us in here were to join that faction, we wouldn't even be able to compete with an 18-member squad.
The thing with 18-member squads, though, like these larger squads, is yes, they have 18 members, but very rarely are all 18 members online at the exact same time.
Yeah, that's here nor there. It would be the same with both factions. Like, very rarely would we have every member of an opposing faction on at the same time, too.
We also discussed that, like, daytime versus nighttime. Daytime, it's going to be, like, kind of safer. And then at nighttime is when those kind of scary factions are going to come out and play. So that way people know, like you got to be back to your base by home or be ready to maybe...
Now, home before the streetlights come on, Mama's coming for you.
And that would be a good time for something like the flea market to run, because then it's a safe area, and I don't know.
And keep in mind too, like if we go with the day-night cycle, I literally have a character for nighttime that literally its sole purpose of the story is to go after the tainted souls. So, Baba Yaga would be on y'all's side.
That's fine, but yeah, to me that just means when the sun goes down, I'm gonna be inside my house all day and doing weight training.
You know, that's when you could, work on building your base and things like that. Like it's.
Yeah. I didn't get any of that, bro. Your mics.
Sorry. So like, but the continental kind of thing would be like a safe zone. So that's when you'd run your casino at night. So people would come there and they'd hang out at night so they wouldn't get fucked up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a bad idea. We need to be able to figure out a way to keep murder squads from just rolling around 3 cars deep, just sole purpose, because that's PvP. That's not roleplay to me.
Nobody's trying to do that, and when it comes to if that were happening, then I guess we'd have to do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually happening.
No, it's not. It's never happened.
It could though, and we need to curb it from happening, because if we start giving an inch, they take a mile, right? And next thing you know, it turns into this. Well, the admin told us we could kind of thing.
And it's bad RP, and they're just not welcome in the server.
Right.
I mean, it's easy, but we've never had to deal with it. And it's anytime anything's gotten a little out of hand, we have a meeting and we all come together about what's the best RP for the server, and we all agree there should be an evil force. There should be fear, but the evil forces that want to be, at least right now, don't desire to constantly be evil. You know.
They want to be able to fuck around when they have time or when they're up for it. Not
it's no
every
fun
time they're out and about. That's all they have to do is.
So, I mean, so far it's been received really well, Grim, by everybody. So
I really like the the civilians, the oppressive military, and then the rebels idea, and then also nighttime being a bit more sketchy than daytime. I think those will be very helpful and entertaining within the RP.
And the last point I want to make before I go is rules in the Discord and this Word doc thing. We really need to transition to like a web base. We need to have clearly like easy to read,
Yeah,
find, searchable.
That's something that we have been discussing already. Is making a Rebellion RP website.
Yeah, I know.
Which that would go on.
Yeah, that's. I don't know the wording and we worked on this a lot a few months ago, and you know exactly where I stand with it all. But still to this day, if I go into Discord and try to find rules, it's like it's a clusterfuck, really, the whole
That's
thing.
where we've we've already touched on this a couple of times. I talked about FAQ sheet, with frequently asked questions.
FAQ would be perfect. Yeah,
like a Word doc that you can click the link to, and
like
it'll take you to
making
a
us
Google
go
Word
over stuff we already went over what you were going
Exactly.
through.
This is what I said earlier.
No offense, but I mean, that's what happens when you miss.
Yeah, well, I had to go eat dinner.
I get it. I hear you. Yeah, you had to feed the family. I hear you, but
images that suggest avenues.
So.
Alrighty. Well, is that?
Aura's gonna have a recap, I'm pretty sure, of everything. I think she's been taking notes. So
I'm taking lots of notes.
recap for everyone to go over.
Sort of remember the main points that everyone sort of agreed with, and
we've even got a reporter in here. Does she have any questions? Oh, we have a hand up though, actually. Dasha.
May I ask something real quick? You mentioned something about Wildlands before, Sor. I didn't quite hear what that was about.
I didn't. No.
Oh no. Okay, no one.
No, I think that was somebody else. I just had a question. Okay, so about the factions. Like, there's some factions that are already well established and like haven't been, really messing around or breaking any of the rules. Like, what is going? Like, they're well established in the roleplay and in the community. How are we just gonna delete them from existence? And
I guess I didn't mean delete. You guys would just have to like.
Okay, I was gonna say, for just an example,
have to work
there's
things
the
out.
medics. Like, the medics have been around. They've been, they've been doing exactly what they said they did from the beginning.
The multi-year medics.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, that was my question. I was like, wait, we're just gonna delete already the established
no.
stuff?
It's
Like,
gonna
okay,
be. That's what I meant. Like, we're gonna start out with some established ones, things that like I think some of these are like pretty old, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of really old ones in there.
Peacekeepers, I think, is.
Yeah, and the biker gangs.
Yeah,
there's two of them now, and none of them are around anymore. Anyway, yeah, that was my only thing. Thank you.
It's true.
Yeah, we're gonna work all that out. We wouldn't just boot you guys for sure.
The ritual wasn't a total failure.
Yeah.
At worst, it would be here. Just fill out the new format.
Or like they become sub factions. So like we have the 3 main factions, and then the medics can go in, say, either civilian.
I guess more when I was saying wiping, like starting with a different lore, maybe. But working with the existing factions, unless you think that's
civil servants.
a bad idea, in which case,
we can even write it right into, because where the story is at right now, it's in a perfect spot to adapt that in.
And I mean,
because
that's fair too.
me and Byrne were already discussing, having a Anne Bonnie, squad mates or shipmates And then
we needed
Jack's
first mates.
Shipmates. Yeah.
Yeah. We basically wanted first mates to like help run our operations with us.
Yeah.
I think with the game itself, you know, you've got Tech One. They're the essentially military. You know, they're the military, the oppressive military, and then you've got your civilians already on the island, and then you've also got your rebels. So I think that goes really well with the lore of the game.
Yeah.
Like, just it fits with the game.
All right. Well, anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, I think we're all about ready to wrap this up. So any last comments or ideas or anything like that before we do?
I want everyone to know, if you don't already know, we got this like bazaar set up here, this bazaar set up next door here that we've been having some fun RP interactions out of. You can usually find somebody over there running a booth or something, and most of us are selling for cheaper than the trader by a lot.
I have an awesome booth.
It's a pretty cool place.
It's a fun place to come get some interaction, especially if you're new to RP, or you know, if anybody in here is like thinking about getting into it or whatever. It's an easy place to come and get some interaction.
And
Completely safe, and there's going to be, you know, enough people there with enough variety of attitudes, demeanors, characters. Enough characters there. That it's a lot of fun. So come check that out if you haven't already.
I think it's pretty cool, and I'm not an RPer.
You are now.
It is a fun
No,
place.
I'm not.
I've spent pretty much all day down here, and I love it.
Yeah, you don't even have to buy anything. Just to be driving by, you know, stop in and say hi.
We've had some sexy ladies out in the road trying to flag down passerbyers.
Does anyone have a sign up that says honk if you're horny?
I mean, if I could, I would.
It's also, I think, the only place you can buy a hazmat suit right now. So there's that.
There's individual dealers, but yeah, only shop.
Yeah, I mean, like the bazaar itself is the only place, like, because the traders don't sell hazmat suits.
No.
Anyone?
See?
Any admins here have anything to say? Anything they want to announce?
No,
I think we're all.
I'm pretty good now.
All right.
I think it's all went really well. I mean, I know I got a lot of notes, or I'm sure that you have a bunch. So we'll definitely all sit down in committee and admins, and then I'll work on rewriting everything and doing updates here and there, that little tweaks.
Cool. Well, I guess if that's that, on the closing note, you know, we all appreciate you guys being here. The server wouldn't be shit without players to play on it.
Yes.
So appreciate the shit out of you guys. Thanks for choosing Rebellion. Thanks for flying Rebellion Air, you know, whatever. Here we are. So you guys are great. I appreciate you. And I think we're all going to pretty much just probably pop down to the lobby. So if anybody wants to come down and get that, that's where we'll be. So, all right, bye.